Are you ready?
Oh, yeah!
Strap yourselves in for the Gaming Hub. With your hosts, Tyler.
You can't handle the truth!
Graham.
The force is strong in this one.
And Steven.
You cannot be serious!
Let's get started.
Alrighty then.
Hey everybody, and welcome into the Gaming Hub. This is episode number 111. I'm your host, Tyler, saying thanks so much for joining us, and I'm joined, as always, by our two co-hosts. Let's start with Graham. How are you? What have you been up to?
I'm doing fine. It's been a really hot week, and I've been working pretty much outside or up in the attics, so it's been a bit of a hot one, so it's nice to come home to where it's nice and cool and play some video games. And those video games I've been playing, as with all the talk of all this tournaments coming up with all the different sports games, I figured I might just get into NHL 18 to get off some of that rust. So I played a little bit of that. And speaking of that, we've also started the realm of Minecraft, and I've wasted, well, I don't know about wasted, but I've put so many hours into just digging and just mindlessly doing stuff. Like, that game is just so addicting, like so easy to eat up a couple hours. Just, what did I do? Nothing, but I have all this dirt in my inventory, and I've cleared out all this space. But yeah, no, it's nice to see all the other people come on, and kind of hung out and played with a few of them. And another game I also played when I'm not playing Minecraft was Fallout New Vegas. This is I played it before, but I never finished it. I got to a point where I'm not sure exactly how I went down, but I didn't have many saves, but wherever I was being saved, I just kept dying repeatedly over. So I kind of started it over, and I'm definitely enjoying it. It's kind of like a Fallout 3, but extended, so I'm definitely enjoying that. How are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad. Let's say hi to Steven. How are you?
Hi, Steven.
Hello. I'm doing well. I just got done directing a week-long camp for the kids I work with, and that was pretty tiring and pretty stressful, especially beginning of the week. And we had some fun little scares throughout the week. One was lice, so that was exciting. As soon as I heard that word, I start scratching my head, and then but it was good because no one had it actually, so it was a false alarm, so that was good. I didn't have a chance to play too many video games this week until yesterday when I picked up Octopath Traveler on the Switch. And actually, I started the prologue because the prologue demo was available on the Switch for like a week now, or maybe even a little longer. And that progress carried over. So you could play the demo for 3 hours. I got about an hour in. I started with Primrose, whose story sounded the most interesting to me, and I'm about 3 hours in right now, and I'm excited to get going in that because I love JRPGs, and this one goes back to the glory days and stuff like that. So I recommend it if you're a JRPG fan and you have a Switch.
And you played some Warhammer, right?
Oh yeah, I did have a chance to play Vermintide 2 the other day. With someone from our community on Discord, and that was pretty fun. I want to get into it and maybe play a little more. I mean, it's free with Game Pass, so that's pretty awesome. That Game Pass turned into an amazing service.
Yeah,
on the Xbox.
It is.
Yeah. So a game I played a little bit of this week is Super Mega Baseball 2, and we did that for a reason. Steve, you played some of it too. We did that for a reason because later on in this episode we have an interview with Scott Drader, who's one of the co-founders over at Metalhead, the makers of Super Mega Baseball and Super Mega Baseball 2. So we look forward to bringing that to you here in just a few minutes. But yeah, I played some of that, and I jumped into the Minecraft realm for a little bit. Didn't really do much. I just wanted to kind of stop it and see what's everybody doing, And there's some cool stuff going on in there. So
Summit Bridge to nowhere.
Yeah. Graham's built this giant bridge that goes nowhere.
Yeah, shout out to Blake. He's done quite a lot. I like the swimming pool. That's pretty awesome. I just find it funny that Tyler knows more about the games I played this week than I do.
I know, right?
That is funny.
That's how long this week's been for me.
Yeah.
I've forgotten.
I just remembered as well, I did pick up the classic NES, so I was playing some original Zelda, and wow, that game is hard. I died many times. I played Super Mario 3, and I'm definitely not as good as playing it now as I was when I was a kid, because I didn't even get through World 1, which was very surprising. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to blow through this like nothing, go to World 8, and then nope, I didn't even finish World 1. So, yeah, and I played Double Dragon 2. Like, man, I'm just, with Mega Man 2, I was just going down that nostalgia alley, and it is a lot of fun. But this whole thing, 3 lives, and then you're game over, so foreign. Like, it's such a weird thing, man. Those games were hard, and basically you couldn't pour hundreds of hours into it because, for one, it didn't have hundreds of hours, but if you died, you just start right from the beginning again.
Yep, I remember that, and we're kind of spoiled now.
Definitely spoiled.
Yep, if you die, you just kind of start at the last checkpoint, But yeah, back then, if you went through those lives, you're back to the beginning. That sucks. And so, so what's your favorite one so far?
I really enjoyed Double Dragon 2. And funny, out of all the games, that was the game I got furthest this time than I ever did in my whole childhood. I'm like, and it was a neat concept too, right? Because you only have the 2 buttons, but if you're facing a different direction, then kick would be the opposite button as it would be if you're facing the other way. So it kind of like, it was neat to play these games, just see where they got their ideas and how far they progressed from just having 2 buttons and like pushing 2 buttons at once for a combo.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was thoroughly enjoying Double Dragon 2.
All right, fantastic. Well, if you'd like to be part of our Minecraft realm, please go join our community. So you can do that by going over to Facebook and look up the Gaming Hub forums there. You can go to Discord. You can use a link either on Facebook or through our Twitch channel, where you can find us at TXH Gaming Hub. On Twitch, there's a link to our Discord there. Discord's probably the way we communicate the most, just because it's really easy. We still do a lot of stuff on Facebook and other things too, but Discord is the one where we can easily hop in and out throughout the day, and we have a pretty good conversation going there most of the time. So please join us there. We also have a dedicated channel there for Minecraft if you're coming in to join that, or if you want to take part in our Madden tournament, which I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. We'll have a dedicated channel for that as well, where you can just discuss the tournament and the upcoming online franchise. So we talked about Facebook, we talked about Twitch and Discord. For all your gaming news for the world of Xbox, head on over to the xboxhub.com and take a look there. They're posting stuff every single day. We are the official podcast of that site, and they also have a sister site, theswitchhub.com, for all the latest in all of your Nintendo Switch news. So finally, if you're listening to us on Dash Radio, welcome. We thank you for listening, and please join our community. We'd love to have you take part. So we're doing a lot of cool community interaction stuff here in the next few months, and well, the Minecraft thing is just one of them. Another is this Madden tournament, which we'll talk about here real quick as we transition into news.
In the news.
But we're going to be starting the Madden tournament on July 28th. That'll be the start date of it, but the registration form is going to go up today. And that'll be primarily on Facebook and Discord. So please head on over, join one of those if you haven't yet and you want to play. So here's kind of how it's going to work. The primary tournament is going to be on the Xbox One because of EA Access, and it's easy for a lot of people to get their hands on it. That said, if you have PlayStation 4 and you want to play, don't be like, oh crap, I can't do this. Still register. If we get 8 people, at least 8 on the PS4, we'll do a tournament there too. All right, there will be prizes for the champion of each one. And I know myself and Steve will be playing in the Madden one. If one of us happens to win it, we'll give the prize to the highest placing member in the community. So it won't be anything like us playing, or Steve playing, trying to not spend any money.
I appreciate the fact you think that I could get to the finals, but there is no way that I'm going to make it there. I have a feeling I'm going to be knocked out in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I
might
right.
be too. I haven't played the game in a long time. So anyway, so that's number one. The registration form will be up today, and we'll take registrations up until probably about somewhere between the 23rd and 25th, and then get the bracket put together and get everybody kind of paired up and ready to go to start on the 28th. So that's number one. Number two for the tournament is you got to be able to take a screenshot and post it when the game's over. just to kind of confirm who wins. And if you're able to stream it, we'd love that. That's not a requirement, but if you're able to stream it, we'd really like that and appreciate it. But here are the big things when you come play. The whole idea is to kind of play with other people. Yeah, it's competitive, and we want to win, but we want to have a good time, help you meet other people in the community, and just strengthen the community in general. So we ask that, you get on mic, please don't be a dick or anything like that. Be cool. And that includes how you play the game too. Okay, so what I mean is play in the spirit of football. So don't constantly go for it on 4th down from your own 14-yard line. If that's happening repeatedly, we'll have to look into that and make a decision. And don't run up the score. Don't be that guy or gal. Don't do that, please. Like, if you're up by, Steve, what's a good example? You think you're up by 2 touchdowns with 3 minutes left? Let's not go bombs away. Or if you're up by 17 with 3 minutes left, more than 2 scores. Don't go bombing away down the sidelines just to run it up. That's not cool. And that's not kind of what we want in our community. So we want you to have fun. We want you to have a good time. We don't want to make you feel like there's a million rules you have to follow, because that's really not the case. Everything's designed to just kind of have fun, whether you win the thing or you go out in the first round. To be able to just come in and have a good time and be able to take part in some of these extra things we're going to be doing. So, Graham, are you going to be taking part? Graham is secretly a Madden Dynamo.
Secretly, yeah. I figured it's unfair for me to play, so I should probably just vouch out. But no, sadly, I won't be. A couple reasons. Main reason is because I won't be around for the whole tournament.
No.
And the other one is I don't play football. I tried it just a little bit, just practicing throwing the ball and stuff like that. But I am nowhere near on the lines of being able to play competitively. So I will save that for NHL.
But you'll come in and watch some of the games, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
And,
if they're on, I will watch. Because I do enjoy watching football on TV. So it'd be football on TV. It'd just be video game football, but I'll watch for sure.
Graham, it's called soccer here in America.
No. So, lastly, and I forgot to mention this, the mode we're going to be using is Draft Champions, or more recently retitled Mutt Champions, to play. So everybody, we kind of went and played with it, and by we I mean Steven, and then I went in too, while we were in chat, and they've got, when you draft now, everybody's got a 90 overall team?
Yes, you'll have a few 99 overall players.
Yep.
So everyone's going to have really good teams, so it's going to take a lot of a skill to win, because everyone's teams will be pretty even.
Yeah,
that's good though.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted, because I've played in tournaments before where it was using Ultimate Team, and that worked out really well for me, because my Ultimate Team was 95 overall, and I was playing against people who were 74 overall.
Yeah.
And I actually went through that entire tournament without giving up a touchdown. Don't let that convince you that I'm super awesome at the game. I was just I played. It was during Madden 15, and I loved Madden 15 Ultimate Team, and I poured a ton of time into it, and I was a 95 overall team by the end. So yeah, it was just a mismatch in every single way. So, but
and you also
go ahead.
Just say you don't have to worry about the RNG, because sometimes with the draft mode, you don't get the players you want, and you end up with a team that doesn't fit your strengths, but you can redraft it really easily. You don't have to wait. You don't have to play games to get rid of them. You can just redraft. I redrafted 3 times yesterday, and I still don't have a team I want. I was just kind of messing around, but the draft mode's the most fun for me. But so don't worry about that either, because I know that's some people's concern. So yeah.
So anyway, we don't want to talk about this forever. We'll kind of throw a reminder on the show next week too, but registration will be open today as soon as the show is posted. So head on over to Facebook or Discord and sign up, and we'll get you into the bracket, we'll accept as many people want to play. So if it's 23 people, it'll be a weird looking bracket, but you'll be in. And some people have to play an extra round, but I'll be luck of the draw.
Well, if it's 23 people, Graham is going to be required to play.
Yeah, so But yeah, we'll make it work, however many there are. So, but for PlayStation, we'll need at least 8. So I know we're getting at least 8 on the Xbox side. So, all right. The one news item I want to talk about this week, guys, and we have another topic, but we really want to dig into that next week because of the interview and just kind of, we still want to keep it from being a forever long type of show. But the one thing I want to talk about news-wise, guys, is Nintendo. So Graham will be excited. But
Woo!
Nintendo on their shareholders call, or investor call, announced that they want to release 20 to 30 indie games per week on the Switch. So, first of all, let's keep in mind, like the Switch's been out for 16 months. It already has more than 700 games available to play.
Really, eh?
Yeah. So,
That's a,
that's a lot in 16 months. And now you're kind of doubling down and you're saying 20 to 30. So, Graham, I'm going to go to you first here because you're a Nintendo guy. So, do you see any negatives in this?
Well, the negative that I see is there could be some amazing games that will get released and they will get lost in the shuffle. But I know with like social medias and networking and even our community, like we'll let people know, it's like, wow, I downloaded this game or I tried this game and this game is super fun. It's kind of like this game. If you like this type of game, you should try it. So I think this day and age, like we're not going to suffer from that as much, but there is a lot of games and you're definitely not going to be able to play them all. So there will be some diamonds in the rough and there will definitely probably be some rough games. So I'm not sure their strategy of why they're like, we want to put out 20 to 30 games a week. Like, at least that's just indie titles, right? So
yep, just indies.
Yeah, so I could see just some great games maybe getting lost in the shuffle, and maybe if they're pushing to fulfill a certain number, maybe they'll be just throwing in games that aren't that good.
Yeah.
But as always, I like to be optimistic, so I'm going to think we're going to get 20 to 30 great games to choose from.
But I am proud of you, Graham, because you came up with like 2 bad things first. So, baby steps, right? But
Baby steps.
Steven, what do you think about it?
I agree with Graham. There's gonna be some games that get lost, just be the sheer numbers. I disagree though that all of them will get found right away because, like, Steam releases, a lot of games every week. I don't know what exactly the number is, but I've heard something like 100 games a day, and that sounds like a lot, but it's Steam, and they were letting anything get released on Steam for a long time. Mm-hmm. And PC Gamer did a weekly thing of 5 hidden gems on Steam this week, or something like that. And that was nice because then you could, wade through the stuff and find games you would never have seen because it's just hidden with so many games coming out. So I am worried about that. And I don't know if this is the best strategy because I like the idea of release games that are good on your system, not just release numbers. You know what I mean? Like, if you're releasing 20 games, how many of them are actually going to be good every week? Probably, not a lot. I mean, they might be okay, but good or great, unless they're talking about porting indie games over that have already been released on the 360 or the PS3, in which case that can help fill that 20 to 30 number. Mm-hmm. But that's my only worry. Yeah. There are some great indie games right now out, like Hollow Knight and West of Loathing I just picked up a few weeks ago. They're phenomenal indie games. So I just hope we get more of that and less of the bad stuff.
Yeah, so I'm with both you guys on this. I think that there could be games that get lost in the shuffle for sure. But the question is how many of these are going to be ports of older indie games that already exist on Steam and other systems?
Well, that would kind of be understandable how they can put out that many games,
yeah,
then, right?
Exactly. So if that's the case, though, a lot of those games will have some momentum behind them coming in if they're good, and they've kind of been known about already.
Mm-hmm.
So that will help alleviate some of that, but I think some good stuff still will get lost. I've seen people compare this to Game Pass. It's really nothing like Game Pass because people like to make the argument that on Game Pass you have games that get thrown on there and then nobody ever plays them and all this stuff. Well, the developers actually see it completely oppositely of that. They see it as, people come and they buy Game Pass to play Fallout 4, and to play Sea of Thieves and to play State of Decay and the other stuff that's there, right? The big stuff. But then they take chances on these other games that they never ever would have dropped $15 on. So they take a chance on it, they find out they love it, and they play a ton of it, and then well, guess what? When the sequel comes out or that studio releases another game, there's the name recognition, and they end up having fans that they wouldn't have had. So
yeah, and it's not even the same argument anyways, because it's not like you're paying $10 a month to get these 20 to 30 new indie games. You have to buy each of them individually. So that's not even an argument that has any coherent thought behind
I agree, because I just had to throw that out because I've seen it a couple of times. Not in our community, but just as I've read around on stuff this week. So, yeah, but I don't really see how it's going to necessarily be a super bad thing. But I am absolutely a believer in quality over quantity. So I hope they don't just flood it with like games that aren't quite as good just to say they're there. That's what I don't want. But Nintendo's had a pretty good track record and they have pretty good standards. So I would hope that that's not going to be the case. All right. Anything else on that, guys?
No, but you're saying that My Riding Stable's Life with Horses, a game set to release on the same day as Red Dead 2, is not a quality game, Tyler? It's not a game you want to play?
No, probably not. I'm sure Graham
saying
has
it's not quality.
Graham's probably got it like pre-ordered like 4 different ways in like the super extreme edition, right? Like
Does it
like
come
the
with a
edition
real
that,
horse?
Yeah, I was gonna say the edition that comes with a real horse.
Yeah, I got the version that comes with a real horse. Yeah. No. I have no desire for this game. Just because it's Nintendo don't mean I'm going to buy it, because that means I'd be flat broke. I'd be coming out with 20 to 30 games minimal per week. And if I had bought every one of them...
Maybe it'll turn out low like the Nintendogs games that were actually like really fun to play.
Yeah. Well, and Graham doesn't like horses anyway.
That's true.
That's true. Not a fan of horses.
No. So, all right. So, that's really the only topic we're going to talk about news-wise, because I want to get into this interview, guys. And, earlier this week, Steve and I had a chance to sit down with Scott Drader, who's co-founder at Metalhead, the maker of Super Mega Baseball 1 and 2. And we had a great discussion about Super Mega Baseball, some of the cool stuff in that game. If you've never played it, I highly encourage you to. But then also about game development in general. And I think that was really fun to kind of hear his thoughts and his insight on what it's like being a game developer, being in that industry, and being an independent game developer. So we're going to turn over to that now, and we'll come back as soon as that is done. Hey everybody, we're thrilled to be joined by Scott Drader, co-founder of Metalhead Software, which is known recently for the Super Mega Baseball series. And again, games I've been a huge fan of since they came out. So Scott, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me, guys.
Awesome. So, we wanted to get a chance to talk to you a little bit about it because, it's cool to see a game like this come out, a sports game that has great physics in it, but it's a little bit different take on the game and kind of really accessible for everybody. So, but first, tell us a little bit about you and kind of how you got into game development.
Yeah, I grew up playing a lot of sports and baseball in particular, and ended up going to university out in Vancouver and got into computer programming.
Cool.
And started playing with some friends at school there, a lot of like Quake 3 Arena, some of those fun like online shooters at the time, and fell in love with that stuff. And I suppose that got me kind of hype on doing games as a career at some point. And I applied to get into games right out of school, didn't get the first job I applied for, went off and did some other stuff in like engineering, software, and like medical device stuff. But at 27 or 28, I can't remember what it was, I decided that it was time to actually have a crack at the games industry again, and almost moved back to Vancouver to get into what was a big games industry there at the time. Sure. But ended up having a beer with a good friend and former colleague here, and we decided to have a crack at starting a game studio out on Vancouver Island in Victoria. And that was 9 years ago, and here we are.
Awesome. So, that's fantastic. Steve, I think you have a question?
Yeah, it's like, tell us about Super Mega Baseball 2. What would you want players who have never played the game before to know?
Yeah, hey, if you haven't played a sports game in a while because you kind of miss like a little bit of a simpler experience that you can have a ton of fun with in a short period of time, you should check it out. It's a little bit more inspired by the experiences that were available in sports games in the 80s and 90s. Easier to learn the game. A lot of direct control of what your players are doing and really tight feedback with the input. Really, really sort of steep learning curve. A game that goes all the way from pretty damn easy to really hard, and everything in between. So, if that sounds like the type of game that you'd be interested in, maybe the modern sports games can be a bit slow or a bit too kind of like TV broadcast style for you. You just want something that's a bit more of a pure video game. That's what this game's about.
Awesome. So, let's go back to the first one for a second, because, I'll be honest, like for me, it kind of came out of nowhere. I started hearing about this game that everybody's raving about. It ended up winning Game of the Year for Polygon in 2014, for Sports Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And so, but going back, like what made you originally decide to do a baseball game?
We sat down with plans to start a company, but not necessarily with a specific product in mind. We started saving money to do our own thing, quite a while before we actually sat down and started to build something. And a few ideas went through. Like I said, we worked in some different industries, and sports was one thing that I knew a lot about, and video games was something that myself and my co-founder were both into as kids, and had some interest in starting company around. So, but baseball happened because it was something that I knew a lot about, and felt like there was that was something that we could bring something like new to the table on. And when you're sitting down to do a new company, or a new video game, or a new company in general, you're dealing with a ton of risks. And one thing was like, well, let's at least do something on a subject that we know a lot about. And baseball was that thing for me. And we were looking at what was out there at the time, and I just hadn't played a lot of sports games since in my the handful of years before we sat down to make something. I missed that older, simpler, pure experience, if you know what I mean. And wanted to see that exist again with baseball. So that's what we had a shot at. Honestly, like we thought that it was going to be. We had no idea what was going to be involved in making a sports game. I think we probably we were probably aiming for something that was more like a 2.5D. Not that like Super Mega Baseball 1 was like a AAA game by any means, but it became like a full 3D simulation over time. But that isn't really what we had in mind when we first started making it. We were thinking a little bit more of a simpler game, simpler presentation, simpler graphics, and so on. But it just kept evolving and evolving, but that's sort of how the whole thing came together.
That's awesome. And so you're a big baseball fan. I gotta ask, who's your favorite team in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I'm a bit torn because growing up in Canada, obviously there's a bit of an affinity to the Blue Jays there.
Sure.
But going to school in Vancouver, we used to go down to watch Mariners playoff games a lot in the 2000s when they were awesome. And I'll never forget those years. That was a ton of fun. It was when you could buy tickets really easily, like on as soon as the tickets were live, you get them easily because not everybody was into the internet. So it was like wicked easy and not even that expensive to get tickets to like playoff games. And we did a ton of that. And so, and the Mariners are looking pretty good this year. So,
I was going to say.
I just jump between the Blue Jays and the Mariners bandwagon, depending on which of the two teams is doing better. Okay.
So probably a couple years ago, Blue Jays fan. Now you're.
Yeah, that's exactly, got it.
Yeah, cool. And but yeah, the Mariners look great this year. It's one of the teams I'm pulling for actually, because I'm a Twins fan and they're kind of out of it now. But you might get some of our players in a couple weeks, so who knows?
Yes. Hey, like the last handful of times I've been down to Safeco with my friends, it's been kind of like more quiet family atmosphere because the team has been out of it. I would love to go back down there again this October and see everyone on their feet screaming at the field and that'd be great.
Yeah, there's nothing like that for me anyway in sports. So I got a chance to go to game 163, Twins and Tigers, a few years ago, and that was amazing. Nothing like it. So awesome. But you mentioned earlier that Super Mega Baseball has kind of a difficulty system where the game can be super easy or really difficult. And, the system is the ego system. So you can set the ego kind of wherever you want to, and it ramps up the difficulty quite a bit.
Yep.
Pretty quickly sometimes. Like I'll get to one point where I'm like, man, this is really easy, and I'll knock it up like 10 points, and all of a sudden I'm like, nope, let's bring that back down a little bit. But the great thing is that this makes this game really accessible for everybody. Like there's no threshold of skill to really be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So what kind of made you come up with that system? Was it something you planned at the very beginning, or did it just kind of evolve and happen?
Yeah, it was sort of like born out of the observation that, like at the time that we started making this thing, there, sports games had really evolved to become really focused on realism and like broadcast presentation. They weren't necessarily an inviting experience if you just were a casual gamer and wanted to sit down and get into something. At the same time, we wanted to have that kind of competitive feel as well. So we did want to design, like at the very highest level, it's like, yeah, let's make something that has like a good low difficulty, but also like a really competitive high difficulty. And then there was a decision to make a difficulty system that was based on like a continuous curve. So many games have your like easy, medium, hard, nightmare or whatever, and sometimes you can't find, sometimes the gap between those is can be like a really kind of a point of frustration. You're having a ton of fun, but you're getting a little bit too good at one level, and then you jump to the next level and you want to throw your controller out the window. So it's trying to, so that's the, without observations, like let's make a difficulty system that's smooth all the way, where nothing changes too much from, it's just a continuous ramp in a whole bunch of the different game systems. So it was something we planned from the beginning. It didn't get the name Ego until pretty late. And I remember some funny conversations about naming it. People, that's ridiculous. What a stupid name for a difficulty system. But we went with it, and no, it's been fun. It's like become one of the things that I think people are it's one of the best known things about the game, which is cool.
Yeah. So are you able to crush it on 99?
Yeah, I did. I will claim that I have beaten a short season in Super Mega Baseball 1 on 99. It took me several playthroughs of the season after the game shipped, playing my own game. I couldn't beat it when it shipped. It took like several months of practice to get to 99. But yeah, I haven't achieved that on 2 yet. But that's probably just because I've been a little busy this summer. But I'll make sure that happens soon. Okay. Not a lot of people beat 1 on 99 for sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing a really low percentage. Because you guys have visibility to that, I'm sure. But
I don't have the exact number, but yeah, it's a pretty low number.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I play on like 35.
Yeah.
Because I just like winning.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We see a lot of people just like hitting dingers, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is me.
Yeah.
So since the first game was so successful, like the sequel seemed inevitable, and sports games have a tendency of just kind of like updating the rosters. So what were some of the difficulties or the goals you had going into the sequel?
Yeah, with one easy thing was that we wanted to improve the presentation and give the graphics a major facelift. Like we did see, I mentioned earlier that the game kind of evolved from sort of being the plan and being a simpler game, and then it ultimately became like a full 3D simulation and actually a pretty accurate take on the physics of the sport and whatnot. But by the time that first game shipped, the presentation of the game didn't really reflect how serious of a baseball simulator it was, and I think we lost. There were a lot of folks that were kind of a little more in the direction of serious baseball fans that looked at the graphics on the first game and said, "Hey, this is silly. This is for kids only. There's no way that this is serious about baseball." And we wanted to address that with the new game. At the same time, like without removing, we still wanted to have the kind of fun vibe that the first one had. So we didn't go to like fully realistic graphics, but we did want to kind of change that and make the game, have the players look like human proportions, and so that they look a bit more athletic when they're jumping for or diving for a ball on the field. So graphics, that was an easy one. And then the customizations, customization was another big one. Like we had some customization in the first game, but really wanted to have like the full team customization where you could like design your own uniforms and do your own logos and stuff. So that was something that we had always wanted from the beginning as well. We just didn't have time to do all of those systems for the first version of the game. And then the last big one would be online play, and that was just right from day one when we sat down to make the game, it's like, well, of course we'd love to have online play, but there's only so much you can do with a few people, which is what we were when we were getting started. So
Sure.
Online play, that would have been probably the thing we put the most time into for version 2.
Okay. Awesome. So one of the things, you mentioned that you want it to be a fun experience, and I have a ton of fun playing it, but one of the fun things about this game is some of the player names. So I'm like, my favorite team is the Widelows, because I'm one of those people, I like to hit home runs, and that's a pretty good power team. So, but there's players named like Hackliner on the team, and a pitcher named Holder Close. Like, it's just such creative names that are funny. Like, how did that come about? Who gets the credit for that? And
yeah,
go ahead.
There's I wish I still had the physical piece of paper, but the first list of names I think were conceived on a beach, like myself and my co-founder we were on, there was some beers and some wine on a beach involved, and we just started scratching ideas. This was like before we had even started working on a baseball game. It was like, hey, if we make a baseball game, like, it's not going to be licensed, so like, what are we going to do to make it fun? And it's like, well, we can make some pretty awesome named players. So we started writing ideas down, and then, I mean, that was ages ago, and through over the years, like, and with 2, it was like, one of the fun things with 2 was telling the team, hey, well, everybody can chip in some names here. Yeah. So we had like ongoing lists of people. So there were like dedicated, 15-minute to half-hour to hour-long sessions of just trying to come up with like really stupid, funny baseball names. And then, if they passed the test, if people still thought they were kind of funny, if we liked them after a couple days, into the game they went.
So what's your favorite player name in the game?
I'm gonna go with I think Young Junior covers all the bases. I think that one.
That's awesome.
That's my favorite in terms of like the number of levels of stupid that one is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the challenges of like online play. But as an independent, game developer, what are some other challenges? And like that most players probably don't know about.
Yeah, a lot of them would like overlap with that of just of being like a startup company. Mm-hmm. Just limited money and limited resources, and I mean, we came from not even being in the game industry, so sure. We didn't even have connections in the game industry. Fortunately, we've hired some folks that have like a lot of game industry knowledge over the years since then. But it was a grind to get everything started. And there's some benefits. I mean, you're coming in with fresh ideas and not being influenced by sort of like you're not having your decisions or your direction audited or influenced by a publisher. You just do what you want to do. So there's a lot of trade-offs there, but it's just risky. You don't know. You got no security blanket, and if things go wrong, you're screwed. So
yeah.
That's how it is, and I love things about it, and at the same time, it's been hard, and I've worked done a few more hours of work than maybe I thought this might have led to over the years.
Sure. A book I'm kind of working through right now is Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, and I love it because it's fascinating to me, some of the stories of like game development, and they kind of go game by game and talk about like the highs and lows and the peaks and valleys that you experience throughout the development of a game. And I'm sure you've had some of those. Is there one you can think of off the top of your head where it was like, oh no, I can't believe this is happening, or like such a high for you where everybody's just euphoric in the studio?
Yeah, just off the top of my head, like, I mean, there were times when we were making the first game, like it took us 4.5 years from when we sort of like founded the company to like shipping the first version of Super Mega Baseball. It's not like we were doing contract work and work for hire in there, so it's not like, I mean, or we wouldn't have been able to afford to live.
Right.
So there was a lot going on there, but like being 2.5, 3 years into doing something and kind of realizing that like this thing is not like there's sort of a game here, but it's nowhere near shipping, and it only runs on PC. It doesn't run on the consoles, which we kind of thought were the best, place for a sports game to ultimately land. And so those were some dark days, just saying like, it's like, look, we don't have much to show for 2.5, 3 years of work, and there's a long road ahead just to ship the damn thing. So that kind of strikes me as one. And like, there was a point where we ultimately kind of realized that the engine we were on, the engine that our prototype ran on, was going to be a heck of a lot of work to get working on consoles and stuff. So it's like we got to change the engine the game's running on, that kind of like that 2-year road up to finally shipping the first game was rough, definitely rough. Just the sheer amount of time and just like utter uncertainty about if it was ever gonna do well enough to justify all the time that went into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most players just don't really know how much goes into this. And just learning more about it, like I can't say I'm anywhere near an expert on it, but learning more about it just makes me so much more appreciative of that final product, as both art and entertainment. When I know what you and so many other people put into games like this. And it's just, it's really, it's cool to see, but I know that it's a lot of long days, right?
For sure. Yeah, well, it can be. I mean, there's a natural tendency to want to do more than you have time for sometimes. And I think that's probably the ultimate, that kills a lot of projects as well. And, for every project that does finally get finished, there's a dozen more that don't ever see the light of day. So, and it's a weird thing. Like we're working on a thing for years and years, and like you really don't. There's no kind of public element of it until pretty close to the end. You don't really get it out there until you announce it and start showing videos on it and stuff. So, yeah, it's a very interesting line of work for sure. Yeah. It's a roller coaster with very long highs and lows, I think.
Yeah. All right. So you kind of mentioned a couple of them before, but being an independent developer, what are some of the advantages of that you see?
I just think that like if you're doing something new and you're a bit smaller, like, I mean, you can kind of deke in a direction that's a little bit different from what's out there and respond quickly and just do something different. I mean, maybe the expectations of what you might be looking at if you're a bigger company aren't there. So, there's no kind of like preset. Your eventual users don't have like anything in mind about what your game's going to be, so there's a little bit of freedom in that sense. And then there's like the other side of that too, which is just that everyone is hesitant to buy something they've never heard of before. So there's two sides to that. But yeah, I mean, being independent, it just like you really can do something new and genuinely original.
Cool. All right, fantastic. So I gotta ask, is there anything on the horizon that you're kind of looking at working on, or are we going to see Super Mega Baseball 3, or is it maybe something else?
Yeah, we're deliberating intensely about exactly that question right now. Well, we're trying not to deliberate too hard, and we're trying to enjoy our summer and chill out a bit after a pretty busy spring. Yeah, I've answered this question with family and friends a couple of times, even like as recently as this weekend, and it's like we actually don't know yet. We kind of decided that we're going to support SMB2 for the summer here and put out a bunch more content. And there's a big patch coming, as well as some new stuff over towards the end of this month and probably the next one too. And then that's when we're going to really sink our teeth into what the next thing will be. But we don't know yet.
All right. So
yeah, real quick, I hope that patch doesn't fix those videos of like a line drive shot knocking the pitcher out, because that cracks me up every time I see it.
Good. Definitely a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, good.
Good. That's awesome. That is.
There's a fun thing about being an independent developer, right there. You can do stuff like that.
Yeah. So the first time I played the game, the first game I played, it happened, and I was just dying laughing. Like this is awesome, and I was taking clips of it and videos and all that stuff. So Yeah, I love that was added and put in there. So fantastic. But where can people play it if they've never played it before? Where can they get their hands on it?
It's digital on the Xbox One store and the PlayStation 4 store, and on PC via Steam right now.
Okay. Any thoughts of Nintendo Switch? Hate to put you on the spot.
We know that the demand is there for that, and I'll just say that we have heard all of that demand and considered that substantially.
All right.
But that's all I can say.
Okay, sounds good. So lastly, Scott, where can people follow you on social media?
Super Mega Baseball, search on Twitter or Facebook is the best place for news on the game, and I tweet once in a while on my Scott Drader account on Twitter, but not very often.
Okay. All right. So I encourage everybody out there in our community, if you haven't played it yet, play Super Mega Baseball 2. It's so much fun, and it's just like, it's not that sports sim experience, and sometimes it's really nice to get away from that and just have some kind of innocent fun in a game that still has really good physics and all of that as well. So Scott Drader, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And, best of luck on whatever you're working on next. I would love to see a Super Mega Baseball 3, but whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
It's crazy to hear. Thanks for having me, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so thanks again to Scott Drader for joining us. Steve, that was pretty fun getting to sit down with him and chat about it.
Yes, I quite enjoyed that interview.
So you played Super Mega Baseball 2 again this week after, doing that interview. And I know, so the first time that you played it, you didn't hate it, but you didn't love it, right?
Yeah, and I realized what the issue was.
What's that?
So the game came out right before MLB The Show, if I remember correctly.
It did. Well, right after, actually.
Was it right after?
Yep.
Well, the issue was I just wanted to go play MLB The Show. Yep. But I haven't played the show in a while. And so, I was like, you know what? I want to kind of play a little arcadey baseball game. And we just had the interview, so I'm like, okay, I'll give it another shot. And, for the arcade experience, but also, I mean, it has realistic physics as it was talked about in the interview. But it's quick. You can quickly get into a game. And they go fast. They're faster than a 9-inning game in the show.
Oh, for sure.
So I played through 3 games the other night in I don't know, about an hour, and I was having a blast, hitting monster home runs because they threw a fastball down the middle. I think that was what it was. It just came out right next to the show, so I was comparing it to it when you can't really compare them.
No, it's the same sport, but it's different games.
Yeah,
it's kind of like comparing NHL 3s to NHL, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or backyard football to Madden. It's not, it's just not quite the same. But I get it, because I was kind of the same way. Even though I liked it, I just kept feeling I kind of want to go play the show. But one thing in the game you love, you laugh every time it happens, is when the line drive goes and decimates the pitcher.
Yes, and in fact, I was playing and the line drive hit him in the stomach, and so it didn't knock around. I'm like, ugh, 2 inches.
But it's a game that, it has that look of arcadey baseball, but the physics in it are pretty good. The controls are pretty good. It's responsive. It's a good sports game, and the first one did win Sports Game of the Year from Polygon in 2014. So. Man, there was so much hype around that game. I remember when it first came out, and that's what got me to play it when it came to Xbox. But yeah, it was a real fun time getting to sit down with Scott and chat with him for about a half hour. So again, Scott, appreciate that, and hope you come back sometime to talk about the next thing you're working on, which you wouldn't really tell us yet. So because I don't think they know, but that's okay. They earned their time off. So congrats to them on a great game and all that. So anyway. Let's move into releases for the week.
Now,
and we'll start with Xbox. So you've got some stuff to pick from here. Nothing real good. We're kind of in that downtime, but you can get Mother Gunship on the 17th of July. You can get an update for or DLC for Far Cry 5. You can get the Lost on Mars also on the 17th, and you can get the Long Reach on July 18th, and there's a lot more coming out, but take a look at the upcoming games list on any site to see that. So, Steve, what do you got for PlayStation?
Okay, PlayStation got Far Cry 5, Lost on Mars, as well, Mother Gunship as well, and then Sonic Mania Plus on the 17th. And then PS Plus games, you still have half a month to pick up, Heavy Rain and Absolver.
Yep. Graham.
Okay,
For the
for
Switch.
Nintendo side of things.
Well, first of all, Graham, your segment's going to get a lot longer pretty soon.
Well, I know, that's what I meant. I'm like, holy moly.
We're going to have to do like a separate podcast for Switch releases.
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead.
We call it Graham switches it up. So you guys both mentioned Sonic Mania Plus. That game will also be available on the Nintendo Switch. That will be July 17th. Also, we have the Moose Man, which will be July 18th, and Guts and Glory, July the 19th. And that is your 3 for Nintendo.
All right. Sounds fun. So, Steve, what do we have for questions from our community?
Fan mail.
All right. So first question comes from Nick Navarro on Castbox. He asked, how do you feel about SCUF controllers? Do you or would you use them?
So I'm really interested in the PS4 one, but man, I don't know. The price tag attached to it's a lot, and they look really cool. I just don't know how much I would use the paddles in the back because I got the Xbox Elite controller and I never used them except to accidentally order the Star Wars Digital Collection. So, but other than that, I never used them really. So, anyway, Graham, how about you?
Yeah, I also own the Xbox Elite controller, and I think I put the paddles on once. I don't know what game I was playing, but I didn't like use it or incorporate it, so I just took it off, put it in the case. And yeah, and the price is definitely a big turnoff. I don't see me picking up this controller. I don't play any games competitively enough that would require the paddles to make things quicker. So I don't see me getting this one, no. Steven?
Yeah, basically the same answer. The price kind of turns me off, and I don't play competitive. But I understand why people like them.
Oh, yes.
All right. Next question from Rumham asks, what is your favorite video game soundtrack?
Halo. Next. It is. For me, it's
You
Halo.
stole my answer because I'm the same way. It's Halo.
Mine would be Fallout 3. I love the music in that.
That's true.
They're so catchy. They're so awesome.
They are. The songs are very good. I had It's All Over But the Crying stuck in my head yesterday.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I forget her name. We'll just move on. Billie Holiday. Yeah, I think I picked up Billie Holiday CD from one of her songs being in Fallout 3.
All right. All right. Next question from Riley Clark. On Discord asks, with the release of Mario Tennis, what other Mario sports games would you like to see on the Switch?
For me, I'll say golf. I think that would be fun. But I'd also like to see a return to Wii Sports.
That's not a Mario game. Next, Graham.
Well, I'm not big into golf games, but I would say Mario Golf would be a game that I think we will see that game as well.
I would like to see Mario SSX because on the GameCube they had an SSX game with Mario in it, or Mario characters in it, and it was really fun. And so I'd like to see that.
I was saying a racing game, but that would be Mario Kart. So I was saying like Diddy Kong, but that's not Mario.
Okay.
Bad Graham.
Yeah.
All right. Nick Peterson from Facebook asked, what gaming convention other than E3 would you want to go to?
So I know why Nick asked this question, because he was a huge fan of GuardianCon. And I just want to shout out to them. Like, they did an awesome job raising money for St. Jude's over 7 days, having streamers on, doing 4-hour blocks, raising money. They made enough money to run St. Jude's Children's Hospital for a day. Like, just to pay for all the costs, which was $2.7 million. And
that's amazing.
And you spend not just them, but the turnout of the like big time streamers that showed up. Like Ninja came to kind of bring it home in the final 4-hour block, and he got him over the hump. And shout out to gamers too. I mean, you guys are awesome. Like for donating stuff, whether you donate like $1. One guy anonymously donated $100,000. That's insane, and it just shows that gaming does a lot of good stuff. So
yeah. There's been a lot of donations raised this month because you had SDGQ at the beginning of the month that raised about $2.5 million too. So that's pretty awesome.
As far as the question goes, though, for me it would be Gamescom. Other than E3, it would be Gamescom. One, it's in Europe, which is awesome, and it's arguably the biggest gaming convention of the year in terms of like people, not actual like importance. I guess E3 takes the prize there, but Gamescom would be awesome.
Yeah, mine would be PSX because it's in my neighborhood and I wanted to go last year. I even had tickets, but I injured my back and I had finals week, so it was like a combination and I just ended up not being able to go. And that one sucked because it's like 10 minutes away and I couldn't make it.
Yeah, and Steve was like brand new to the show at that point.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, go get interviews. And he's like,
That's exactly what that reaction was like too.
So Graham, how about you?
I would say I would like to join you in Europe as well, Tyler, at Gamescom. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
go to Europe and see how the gaming industry is over in Europe and stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Next question from Gus McDonough. Asks, what were your favorite games as kids?
Boy, good question. When I think about playing games as like a kid, I always first usually think about Punch-Out. I had so many great memories of that game going to beat it, but also like the Mario games. Had a good time with those, and then NHL 94 stands out always for me. So how about you guys?
Mine would be Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, Luigi's Mansion, and Pokemon Ruby Sapphire and Fire Red and Leaf Green. I think I owned all four of them at some point. But the Pokemon games and then the two on the GameCube, like, those were... Because they were just easy enough for me to, like, succeed at, but also, I put a lot of hours into them. Mm-hmm. So those are mine.
Yeah. Now, if I had go in order of systems for a little bit here, I would say Mario 3 on the NES, Super Nintendo would have been Super Mario World, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, I think, was on the Super Nintendo, and Super Mario World. Those were my games. And NHL 94, definitely.
All right. What else we got? Sweet. A couple more?
Sure. Let's see here. I just saw it. I just lost it. All right. Raz asked, what was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Oh, good one.
Oh, man. I know that one.
Okay, Graham, go ahead.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon.
I'm gonna go with Graham on that.
Love those shows.
Yep.
So, I have two. When I was a little kid, it was Rocket Power, and then towards the later years, it was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
All right. Next question. If you had the money, I gotta find where I just saw it. Okay, sorry, I'm getting all kerfuffled here. Sandman asked, if you had enough money to pull off any cosplay perfectly, who would you go as?
Oh boy.
Wow, that's an awesome question.
That's a really good question. So, boy, who would it be?
I can go first.
Yeah.
It's a tie. It's a three-way tie between Sora from Kingdom Hearts, Master Chief from Halo, obviously, and Darth Maul from Star Wars.
Yeah, Darth Maul.
They would all look really sweet.
How about Jar Jar Binks?
No. Or pass.
Yeah, a lot of things Star Wars related, actually. Like, even a Stormtrooper or Darth Vader or, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi or Anakin or whatever would be cool. Gaming-wise, I'd probably have to go with Master Chief on that. Graham, come on.
Well,
we know what...
Yeah, no, you don't. I would say if I could be the Lone Wanderer in a power armor suit, or just be in a power armor suit, I guess, that would be pretty awesome. That'd be something pretty extensive. I know you guys figured I was going to say Link, but you really don't need a lot of money to be able to pull off that character. So I was thinking something where, okay, if I could have all the money, like no matter whatever, to be any character, I would definitely spend the money for that one, for sure.
Yeah,
with real guns.
But
with real laser rifle.
So I'm going to give Graham a chance to save face because he got called out on Discord.
He did.
You wouldn't go as Fallout Boy, Graham?
Vault Boy, yes. I said
Vault Boy. I loved it because they actually started posting pictures of the band Fallout Boy.
It's kind of a well, not a comparison, but a merging. The game is called Fallout, and his name is Vault Boy. So I went Fallout Boy. I was put on the spot. I wasn't thinking clearly. So yes, my bad. I'm not perfect. I made a mistake.
No, it's funny.
Don't feel too bad though, Graham, because they also called me out for having a dusty Xbox One.
Yeah.
While we were posting pictures of our setup. So we'd like to say thank you to our community for, keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thank you for all the interaction. You guys have been great.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's been amazing.
I go into Discord now and I have to scroll for a while just to get caught up on everything. So thank you guys for that. You've been great. And if you want to be part of the community, we encourage you to do that. Head on over to Facebook, the Gaming Hub forums there. Go to Twitch, TXH Gaming Hub on Twitch. And when you're on Twitch or Facebook, you'll see a link to our Discord. And please join that. And if you like the show and you like taking part in these tournaments and community events that we're going to be having over the next few months, and you want to help support us, there's a couple ways you can do that. So on Twitch, you can sub to the channel, and we really appreciate that. If you have Amazon Prime, by the way, Prime Day is this coming week. But if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub to use every single month. So once you use it and it expires, it doesn't re-up automatically. So if you choose to support us again, please do that. If not, use it on somebody. Just help support somebody out there that's making good content and help them grow. So the other way is we have a Patreon page. So you can go over to patreon.com/gaminghub and take part there. There's a level for $2. Up to 15, so we have 2, 5, 10, and 15. If you go in at the $5 level, we need just one more person to do it at $5 to trigger a monthly giveaway of a $60 game. So the next person that does that will unlock that for patrons in the $5 and up levels. If you go 10 and up, you get multiple entries into that giveaway once it goes live, and you get a t-shirt and or a mug as well that will ship to your house starting in August if you signed up in June. So with that, anything else, guys, before we roll on out of here?
No, that is it. I'm excited to see you guys for the Madden tournament here in the coming weeks.
I'm excited to
Can't
see
wait
the
for
people
that.
signing up, so that'll be fun. And I did put down on the sign-up sheet, everybody, for time zone, because I'd like, especially if we get a bunch of people, to sort of bracket it off time zone-wise, so it's a little easier to get the games in at first. So that's why that question's there if you're wondering. Anyway, that's going to do it, everybody, for episode number 111. Thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with episode 112. But until then, have a great week, everybody. Play some good games. Take part in our community, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you online.
Bye.